Good morning. Got a little something else to add. I also want to say on a previous video, I said I had lived 7 centuries. Well, that should have been 7 decades, and I can't go back and fix that. But something else I wanted to talk about a minute was I see people online who, whenever they have an empty jar, let's just say they had taco soup in this jar, and they used it, they washed it, they put it back up. Well, isn't it just as easy to put some water in it and pressure can it? So if for some reason you don't have electricity or you don't have water, you've got some water that's kind of been made ready to brush your teeth or whatever it is that you need. So sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't. There's two things I want to talk about, and one of them is making butter or storing shelf-stable butter. And this is one of the first things that I did, and it's probably one of the easiest things to do. You can it in the pressure canner, but Buddy and I just prefer to do this. We get some, these are our two favorite butters, and I'm going to tell you, I like Kerrygold. I like how it's made. I like how the money goes to the producers themselves as opposed to a whole bunch of middle people. But it costs almost twice as much, so I don't buy Kerrygold unless it's on sale. I love the way it tastes. Here's another one that this is what we use most of the time, and we really hate it that they took the Indian lady off the front of it, but it is what it is. Land O'Lakes is our favorite butter. Now I buy salted butter. You know that salted butter can sit out and it does not have to go in the refrigerator. Many years ago, I learned that little fact from a friend of mine who had lived overseas in England, and they don't put their butter in the refrigerator when it's salted. And so mine's been out for well over 10 years. It's already soft. Put on, scrape it on some butter on some toast or baked potato. So I like that. But to make shelf-stable butter, this is what I do. I get a bunch of these. I get it when it's on sale. I let it sit out for a while and get soft. And then I put it in a boiler on top of the stove. And I let it get real creamy. Well, in the meantime, I've got washed jars. This size works for us. I've got them in the oven heating up. I've got the lids on a boiler on top of the stove on low, just to make sure that they're that this little rubber part is going to stick. I've also got my vinegar out where after I pour the butter into these jars, I'm going to wipe the lid of my jar to just get rid of any accidental drops or splatters that happen to be up there. Just plain old vinegar. Now, once I do that and I melt these down, I use a ladle and I put it in the jars. Now, then I put the lid on it. And then when the jars got a little bit cooler for me to touch it, Buddy and I find something on the television to watch. And we just sit there and we shake them about every 15 minutes. And it takes about an hour and a half. It separates at the beginning, but an hour and a half later, you've got this. So I don't have to go to the store for butter right now because I have, I think, 9 jars, this size of butter. I used to do the little half pints, but heck, that didn't last us even a week. So this size works well. Now, I opened up a jar that I did 2.5 years ago, day before yesterday, just as good as if I had let this butter thaw out of the refrigerator or melt down. Creamy, but after I open up a jar, I always put it back in the refrigerator. Just don't take a chance. Now, I've probably in the last 3 years done 50 of these jars, 40 to 50 of these jars. I've never had one that showed any signs of mold or anywhere else. Now, I do keep them inside and temperature controlled in our home. And then if I run out, and I do buy these still. I buy these also. But I got a lot of backup if I need it. And like if I'm doing something that requires a lot of butter, I've got plenty. And I'll rotate these jars out. Like I said, I just used my oldest jar just a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was, and it didn't have any problem with it at all. So shelf-stable butter, and what kind of cost are you going to have? You're going to have some elbow grease where you have to shake it. You're going to have lid. You're going to have a jar. You're going to have the ring around the top of it. And sometimes I keep the ring on it, and sometimes I don't. Mostly I don't, because I reuse the ring. So I really like that hint, especially you don't have to run to the store at the last minute and get this particular thing because you forgot that you didn't have any, and you don't have to keep it in your freezer. Electricity goes out to freezers. We know that, right? Okay, second thing I want to talk about is what has been another saver for me, and that is, by the way, I'm dressed up in honor of Louisiana. Mardi Gras is coming up. Also, the fact that my buddy is an LSU, loves them whether they're doing well or not, kind of team player. He loves his team. So sometimes I just wear this jacket just to make him feel like I'm for his team, but I'm really not. Okay, so let me tell you about this. When I get those big old packets of like dried bananas or pineapple or blueberries or strawberries, they got to be dried. And this big bag, you know what happens? You can't eat all that bag at one time, and it's more cost effective at Costco or Sam's to get the big bag. And so then I separate them, and I put them in one of these kind of jars, and of course I label it with this lid. But this little thing right here is just a lifesaver for that, because you put it on top of it, and you set it for 40 seconds, and it sucks all the air out of the jar. Now, I've been doing this for a few years. I've never had banana peels or the strawberries or the apples or pineapple or anything else that I have. They've never gone bad. Sucking the air out of them, and I always put one of those little oxygen savers inside. I don't know if you can see this blue one or not. But anyway, this is something else that is really, really helpful. Now, the reason I brought this in here is if you don't have electricity, but you have like the rock. This is the way to make coffee. This is how, when I was growing up, this is how people made coffee, not with electricity all the time. Sometimes it was over a fire. So sometimes it was over gas. It could be over a bunch of different things. But this is a backup. Now, we check it out every once in a while just to make sure it's still working, and we haven't had to use it because we've had electricity. But anyway, this is a backup to have coffee because, like, who could start their day without coffee? Okay, that's about it. That's what I wanted to share with you this morning. Hope everyone is well today. If you will, please like this video so you can encourage us some to keep trying to do this. Thank you for watching. Be blessed.